Hi, we're Prevention Plus.
I'm Brooke Romero.
And I'm Lozano. And we are here today representing the Orange County Elks Lodge, number 1475. And normally you would be seeing us live and on stage, and we would have got you out of class today. But I guess you are out of class today. But we decided we're going to change it up a little bit. So we get to travel all across the United States talking to kids about drugs and alcohol in a real fun way. So Brooke, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you when you've been presenting?
Well, a funny thing that happens pretty often is almost every time I walk onto a high school campus, I inevitably get mistaken for a student. Yeah, I look really young. I'm 23 years old, which I know is still pretty young. But every time I walk onto a campus, they're like, do you need help finding your classroom? You look a little lost, you know?
Oh man, that'd be weird.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny, and then I have to tell them, you know, I'm the speaker. I'm here to speak to the students about drugs and alcohol. But yeah, that's pretty funny.
Oh, that is good. And so do they ever send you to the principal's office?
Every now and then.
Right.
Every now and then I'll get the "you can't leave campus without your parent here" kind of thing. But yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh, that is weird. Yeah, I've never had that happen. So yeah.
But yeah, I do get to, you know, speak to a bunch of different groups of students. Who's your favorite group to speak to?
My favorite group. You know what? A lot of times when I'm presenting, well, I'm going to tell you the group I don't like presenting to. Students that are dead quiet. And so the ones that just sit there and they don't make any noise, it just drives me crazy. So I want students to talk a little bit. I want them, when I tell a story, to kind of interact with each other. And so I make time for that. I want students to interact with me. And the ones that I really like are kids that are in probation. Really? Yeah, it's just the weirdest thing because they are defending their drug, you know. And so a lot of times they'll like, well, I don't believe what you're saying about marijuana, or this is what I heard, or my uncle smokes all the time and he's okay. And so whenever I'm doing my marijuana presentation to probation kids, that's my favorite group. And so we get to present marijuana information. We get a lot of questions about that. And it's really changed quite a bit when it comes to marijuana, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's changed so much.
I'm going to sound like a really old guy right here. But things have changed so much. Like back in the day, the kids that did smoke weed had to get marijuana, put it in a paper, roll it up, get a match, you know, all that kind of stuff. But now it's so different. And kids that smoked back then had a crazy aroma about them. And you could smell them in line, you could smell them walking, you could smell their jacket. So is the aroma still happening quite a bit?
Not as much. So students can get e-cigarettes with marijuana that smell like cotton candy or bubble gum or things like that. But there's also ones that don't smell like anything. And a lot of times where it can be really tricky is when a student has an e-cigarette that they don't even realize is filled with marijuana.
Oh yeah, that'd be a problem.
Now one of the things I've had a lot of teachers ask me or tell me is that this e-cigarette craze is just blowing up to the point where they can't tell which students are using and which aren't. And I've had principals come to me and say, you know, you used to be able to identify the like stoner kids kind of thing. And nowadays, you know, it's the artsy kids, it's the sports kids, it's, you know, the loner kids, it's every type of kid. There's students in that group using marijuana, and it's just really difficult to identify now. Wow,
that's crazy. Now, when I graduated high school back in 1983, and I hope you can put like this cool graphic that comes in and out, like right now as I'm using my hands, I hope the number 83 is going back and forth like that, you know. But yeah, back in 1983, marijuana was running probably right around 15–18% THC, and THC is the thing that gets you high, and it's so different now, right? Nobody's going to smoke 15% THC. That's like when you go over to your grandparents' house and they have one of those televisions that you have to change with a knob. You actually had to do that. Google that later. But yeah, you had to change it with a knob. So 15–18% was really popular back when I was in high school and what kids were smoking. But what is it now?
Nowadays, it can be as high as 96 and even 98% THC.
Man, that's crazy.
I mean, it is almost as close to pure THC as somebody could get.
And it's called wax, right?
It's called wax.
Yeah. Well, from what I teach on marijuana, like if somebody's smoking regular marijuana, what happens is information comes into their brain and it's greeted differently. So For people that aren't high on weed, when information comes into their brain, the brain greets that information and it categorizes it and puts it in the spot that it needs to be put in case they need that information later. Like, for example, if I said the word elephant, right? Everybody that's watching this right now, get an elephant inside your head. Okay, got an elephant.
Got it.
All right. I'm going to say for a majority of people, they saw a picture of an elephant. Is that what you saw?
I saw a little cartoon drawing.
Cartoon drawing. Okay, that's pretty cool. Some people see a video, like a little short video clip of an elephant walking out. Now, people who think totally different than us, maybe I would even say borderline genius, see the letters E-L-E-P-H-A-N-T because their brain thinks different. So when I say elephant, your brain runs to the elephant door and it opens it up. So that's how your brain's supposed to work. Now, when you smoke weed, and the reason why people forget things, or they are going to ask a question, they forget what the question is, or if somebody tells them their name and they immediately forget it, that's because marijuana comes into their brain, and their brain and marijuana have this information and it doesn't know where to categorize it. So it puts it in a weird spot inside your head. Now that's marijuana that's running, 15 to 18% THC. So when you're smoking wax, it's running like 98% THC. It kind of sneaks into this little part of your brain and it opens up this door called depression, schizophrenia, paranoia. And so it opens up those doors. And yeah, it does a whole bunch of stuff. So they're finding out kids that smoke wax now have a tendency to suffer with depression a lot more. So we're seeing that, yeah. So it's a whole different thing. And normally we would be out presenting this live in schools, but we're not able to do that right now. So we will be coming to the Orange County School District here before too long. And who are we going to be sponsored by?
We're going to be sponsored by the Orange County Elks Lodge. That's Elks Lodge number 1475.
Right, so we'll be out at your school hopefully once things are back up and running, maybe in the fall. We'll see you then, you guys.